हेलो स्टूडेंट। आज हम लोग जो टॉपिक देखने जा रहे हैं वो रिक्वायरमेंट एलिसिटेशन का एक टॉपिक है। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि हम लोग जब सॉफ्टवेयर इंडस्ट्री में काम करते हैं तो सॉफ्टवेयर इंडस्ट्री इज़ वेरी डिफरेंट इन कंपैरिजन टू द अदर इंडस्ट्री इन सच अ वे दैट हियर रिक्वायरमेंट्स कीप ऑन चेंजिंग। क्योंकि रिक्वायर कह सकते हैं कि यहाँ पे रिक्वायरमेंट जो होती है वो डायनेमिक नेचर की होती हैं और जो टाइम टू टाइम नई रिक्वायरमेंट्स आती रहती हैं। और ऐसा इसलिए होता है क्योंकि बड़ा इनोवेटिव फील्ड्स होता है। जब भी कोई फील्ड आपका इनोवेटिव होता है तो देयर आर सम अनसर्टेनिटी रिलेटेड टू इट, and because of that you don't understand what will be the actual requirement, and some requirements become clear when you start working on it. इसके लिए हमने देखा था कि इसके लिए एक रिक्वायरमेंट इंजीनियरिंग का एक प्रोसेस फॉलो किया जाता है। दिस सेशन इज डन टू आइडेंटिफाई ऑल द रिक्वायरमेंट्स क्लियरली सो दैट वी द रेट ऑफ सक्सेस ऑफ फाइनल प्रोडक्ट इंक्रीजेस। तो इसके अंदर आपको जब देखा था तो आपके कुछ स्टेप्स थे, रिक्वायरमेंट एलिसिटेशन, देन आफ्टर रिक्वायरमेंट एनालिसिस एंड अदर स्टेप्स आल्सो. But first step was requirement elicitation. So requirement elicitation means to actually identify what are the requirements. In this, one technique that is used for requirement elicitation is the brainstorming session. So brainstorming session, first of all, the problem in the software industry is that the client who generally do not have any technical knowledge, and the developer who designs the final product are totally technical person. So definitely their way of communication are very different because the client most of the time use non-technical words and developer use the technical word. Because of that, when client give his requirement, explain about his requirement, he do not use technical word. He does not know actually what word he should use to explain what he expect. And developer answers or communicate with the client in some technical terms which are not clearly understood by the customer. So there is kind of communication gap between these two, because of which what the customer expect and what the developer wants to implement, there is a gap in between. To reduce this gap, first of all, the level of communication should increase. For this, we organize some rigorous sessions of the meeting between the developers also. Because in developer, when we talk about a software product is divided into different modules, and different teams of software developers works on different modules, and in each team there are heads, and everybody has a different idea of about the project because of their interest, their of inclination, their favor, their biasing, something, any could be the reasons, and everybody has its individual creativity. So it is quite possible that the different team will perception about the project or the final product will be different from each other. When we find, suppose the different modules are running perfectly, but at last what we do, we finally what we do, we simply merge all these, integrate all these modules together so that they look like a common system. If different team developer have different opinion and view about the final product, their collaboration or their integration would create a lot of difficulty. Because of this, final product look and feel would be not comfortable to the user or anybody, because they will very different from each other. Similarly, the different structural ideology and difference in their idea perception would create a lot of difficulty in integrating all these modules together. To reduce this to a certain extent, we need certain level of rigorous meeting between developer also. the brainstorming session is basically the same idea in which we organize a meeting between the different developers and customers so that they can better understand each other ideas and the platform. Here, the client clearly explain what does he expect, and developer explain that what is how he will implement all these things. Here, generally, we are interested in how the session will, how the product will then decide, not by not going into technical details. We generally gives the blueprint of the actual idea of in the developer mind, and that is presented to the customer and other developer. Here, uh, because different people come from different groups, they have problems, different problems, as they every individual has some ego, some everybody has some ego and attitude problems, and somebody is dominant and somebody could this is not the proper way of brainstorming. In to organize this meeting properly, we need a facilitator. Facilitator is a person who may handle the group bias and group conflict carefully. A facilitator is the one person who check out that this there should be no group biasing or group conflict between the developers or client groups. And another requirement is that the facilitator should be highly trained to handle these things. Facilitators should be cautious about the individual ego's dominance and will be responsible for the smooth conduct of the brainstorming sessions. So facilitator plays a very crucial role in it, and he or she will encourage the participants so that every individual would share his idea, and they will everybody, and this will he will try to increase the group culture so that everybody is ready to share the idea. At the end of the meeting, when everybody has shared his ideas and perceptions independently and equally, then the facilitator will decide through the consensus what are the final idea, and that will be published. That would be the published as agenda, and this will restart the creative process if it failed. Okay. In it, every idea should be well documented after the session so that everybody can see it. During the brainstorming sessions, a whiteboard, overhead transparencies, or a computer projection system can be used to make it visible to the every participant so that he can clearly visualize what are the idea or views by the somebody else. Everybody ideas is well written in simple English and convey the same meaning to the every stakeholder. So that language should be proper so that everybody in the group, in the meeting should clearly understand what is the idea actually. That so language should be the simple English. Incomplete idea may be listed separately. Suppose some idea were proposed but they were not defined in detail, so that would be listed separately, and that will be discussed at length to make them the complete idea. Finally, a document will be prepared in which we shall find out that what are the requirement and what are their priority, if possible. In the advantage of the brainstorming session is that through when single person or 2, 3, 4% consider think about a project perception, they may fail to actually get an idea of every aspect of the software. When a lot of people get together and they share their ideas and share their views, then they will get the complete idea and the part they have not considered while imagining in their hypothesis for the software final product. This will be do not leave any blank space for the proposed software. In this brainstorming session, we categorized, prioritized, and pruned the final requirement set. So, in summary, we can say that in brainstorming session, a meeting is organized between the is a group is organized, and it is a group technique that may be used during requirement elicitation to understand the requirement. In this, all the requirements are listed after brainstorming session, in which every user get time and equal share to share his idea, and no group biasing or biasing or dominance of person is accepted here. Here, facilitator uh, try to deliver most of the um, it should be able to handle such situation, so that he will encourage every more number of participants to ensure individual one, and the increase the feeling of teamwork between the participants. So after that, at last, he present a list of requirements which and their priorities, which he considered uh, should be fulfilled at the end of the project. And if there is an incomplete idea, he lists it in his record. Okay, his record. So this is the brainstorming technique. Now, the another technique that I'm going to tell you is the FAST technique. The FAST technique, or facilitated application specification technique. Facilitated application specification technique. This technique is very much similar to the brainstorming session, and its objective is to bridge the expectation gap, a difference between what developer think they are supposed to build and what the customer think they are going to get. In order to reduce this gap, a team-oriented project is developed for requirement gathering, and it is called facilitated application specific technique, or FAST. In this technique, the basic guidelines for the FAST are given below. Arrange a meeting at a neutral site for developer and customer, like some hotel, some resort, like that, and establishment of rules for preparation and participation. In this, everybody comes together with preparation, what idea they would share in this meeting, and what will be the role of different one, that on which module particular one team is going to work, and they will come prepared along with the detailed research on particular that module. At last, they prepare an informal agenda that encourages the free flow of idea. In this also, we encourage the informal idea, and a facilitator is appointed to control the meeting. A facilitator may be a developer, a customer, or an outside expert, like the brainstorming session. And we prepare a definition mechanism board, flip chart, and worksheet wall sticks. And participants should not be criticized or debate with each other, because in this way the important time of the meeting get lost, and because of that the biasing is created, which is not fruitful for making a better software. The activities of FAST session. The activities during FAST session may have the following steps. First, each participant present his or her list of objective, service, constraint, and performance for discussion. Every individual will present his objective, the service he will provide, the constraint that should be maintained, and performance of the performance and discussion. List will be displayed in the meeting by using the board or large sheet of paper or any other mechanism, so that everybody can visualize those requirements. Finally, at last, the combined list is created, which eliminate the redundant entries, means the entries which are the requirement uh, defined by multiple persons, and adding new ideas. This finalized list is then discussed, and a consensus is withdrawn to finalize, and which is finalized by the facilitator. Means a voting is done between the client. If the requirement is supported by a certain number of uh, attendees, then that will be finalized as the final requirement. After this consensus, the list is finally completed and the team is divided into smaller sub teams. And each finally, when certain set of requirement is given to one team, certain set of requirement are given to the second team. Likewise, every team will get few of the requirement that they have to fill. In this, before distributing this, we should categorize all our requirement. Similar kind of requirement will go in one module, another one in different module. Now the each subteam then is, in which we will get the particular module with certain will then present the mini specification to all the fast attendees. After discussion, addition or deletion are made to the list. We may get new objects, services, constraint, performance requirement to be added to original list. Now every individual team will provide mini specification of their requirements. That suppose somebody has said that he needs a car, then choosing a car, after that car he shall decide that which car should be in which segment. It should be small car, hatchback car, or sedan. Then further specification like that. During all discussion, the team may raise an issue that cannot be resolved during the meeting. The issue list is prepared so that these ideas will be considered later. If there are some issues which cannot be solved in the meeting and there is no clear solution for that, then these lists are prepared separately and they are discussed in another meeting. Each attendee prepare a list of validation criteria for the product and present the list to the team. Or suppose somebody is prepare a list for validation criteria for validation. If certain number of people support that or validate that this is the real requirement, then this considered this requirement which is supported by the majority, then this is accepted as a final requirement. Now a sub-team may be asked to write the complete draft specification using all the input from the fast meeting. So now then the meeting finalized all the module requirements which were finalized, and they write down the small detailed specification of each and every requirement at the last of the meeting. This is not done in a single round, but in the second round, when the certain requirement are given to a sub team, then he in the given assigned time period, he from the detailed specification of their requirements, and finally in the 1 or 2 3 meeting, the finalized draft is prepared by the fast team. And this is not the panacea of the problem. Means ये कोई रामबाण नहीं है, is early required, but it helps in understanding the requirement and bridge the expectation gap of the developer and the customers. So that's all about the fast the fast technique and the brainstorming technique. Fast, they are very much similar, but the fast technique is the facilitated application specification technique. Here the specification are discussed, particular modules specification are discussed and the mini specifications are well written at the last in the draft. But in the brainstorming session, the requirements are identified with the rigorous brainstorming session. So that's all about this session. Thank you.